Hello, everybody, and thanks for watching. I thought it was important to put this pyramid up. A lot of times I like looking at graphs and charts and pyramids, and I've been hearing some videos about black wealth and powernomics from Dr. Claude Anderson. There's been some other people who have given their input about how to bring about money in black communities and how to fund black communities and bring about black wealth and empowerment and what have you. And they have all these philosophies and all these ideas, but I will say this honestly, I have yet to see anything being done. Now, I'm not trying to put the bad mouth on any one particular person. It may be that a lot of this is in the infancy stage, or it could be that there's not enough homework and not enough research on these issues, and these issues are probably bigger than what people thought them to be. And so, in looking at this pyramid alone, you can see that at the bottom, we start at the bottom of the pyramid. There are borrowers, people who need to borrow money in order to do things that they can thrive in life. So it may be people who need to get credit cards, so they borrow the money. They need to get a loan um, because a lot of times there aren't very many grants for just anybody, and there's even with grants, there's requirements in order to get grants. So you have borrowers, you have lenders and agents, you have speculators, you have rating agencies, politicians like the President Trump, Obama when he was in presidency, um, people who are politicians like Vice President Pence, um, and then you have Wall Street and the bankers, the Federal Reserve. And if here in America, if you look at history happened. And a lot of times it's just frustrating when people say, don't think about the past, move forward. Oh, you shouldn't dwell in the past. But a lot of what has happened in the past is the reason why people are in their state right now economically. And so a lot of times these people, they'll talk about slavery, but they won't stress that a lot of the poverty that has been handed to black people is not by accident. It was on purpose. And so it's generational poverty through the slave trade. And the same goes for people who are not black or they're white and they have great wealth. Donald Trump's a great example. A lot of what people have inherited is through, generational wealth, even if that person didn't acquire it legal or honest. So within the black community, a lot of people don't mention this, that they claim to be revolutionary or black revolutionaries or activists or black economists, that within the black community there's a lot of distrust in black folks, black people who don't trust other black people. If you look at Fox News and you see some of the people that sit up there, they're black people and they claim to be, in support of whatever political positions, and they say mean things about other black people. And so just that alone, you have, black people who fight over skin color. They fight over who has this and who doesn't have that, who's married to whom and who's not married to whom. Black males versus black females versus black males, the disgruntledness within the community. So you don't tackle with those issues, then you don't have any trust among people within their own community. Then how are you going to think that people are going to fund black businesses when they can't get along with their neighbors that are black? So here you have another pyramid. It's the rule of law, money exchanges, human resource, education, natural resources, jobs, wealth, and prosperity. A lot of that, in other words, just looking at the pyramid, there's stairs, levels that you got to go through. Everybody doesn't think the same way. They don't have the same ideas. They don't have the same drive. So if you look at the Federal Reserve, it's privately owned by the Rothschild. If you don't know who the Rothschild are, they are white people charging taxpayers interest on money they print out of thin air since 1913. Decades and decades ago, white people running the monetary system. All these faces, all these picture white people basically running the money. You have to go through white people some way, somehow. And a lot of these people that they have all these fabulous feel-good speeches about how black people need to use their money to bounce it 5 and 6 times in their community. We don't even get along with one another. And then your money, whether you know it or not, or you want to believe it, you got to go through the IRS. You got to go through a banking system. Even it, people say, "Oh, well, I'll just bank in a black bank." Still, where's your money being printed? Okay, Federal Reserve, and who owns all of that? So, we have all kinds of issues going on in the U.S. We have hate crime. We have gun violence, domestic violence, black on black, white on white, Hispanic on Hispanic, Asian on Asian, and whatever culture on whatever culture types crimes. Everywhere, somebody's going through something somewhere. It's not just in the black community. And then attacking other social groups is not going to build the black community up. I think that is a flaw. Because if you waste time attacking people because they don't have religion, or they don't believe the same thing you believe, or they don't have the same spouse or partner that you have, you're wasting your energy in your fight. I don't know how anybody could build anything without any skills and talent and utilize it in a positive manner. If you don't have any education, a lot of these jobs, a lot of these places, and a lot of these businesses are not going to trust you because you don't know what you're doing. You have to have some type of skill set. And a lot of that comes from going to school. You have some people who don't want to go to school. Not everybody wants to go to college. Some people are good at that. And there's some they maybe have other ways of acquiring wealth, but it may not be through the same way. So, like I said again, even within the black community, that's one area. Everybody doesn't think the same way. Work harder, millions on welfare. Okay, there's other people on welfare. It's not just black people. Black people are not the only ones. That is not true. You've got a lot of black people who are working. They may not be making a lot of money. There's some that are making a lot of money, and then there's some that are not. And you have some black people who they talk bad about other black people, and they hold other black people back. So if you have that going on, and then how are you going to expect a black community to come together and unify when you have people like Uncle Ruckus and Stacey Dashes and all these people like Ben Carson basically taking the history of black people and setting us even further back with some of the derogatory comments that they come up with? Painting us as immigrants, involuntary immigrants. I don't know if you've heard that. Ben Carson said that recently, and he got a lot of backlash from the black community, and people who aren't even black disagreed with that statement, because that's disrespectful to people who really are immigrants, and then those who aren't immigrants, that's disrespectful to them as well. So you see, this guy, he's homeless. It could be a whole scenario how he got there, but I would bet you in the beginning, if there was any poverty involved, it was handed down. Generational poverty. Okay? Now, if somebody has a problem with, if they have a problem with substance abuse, or they drug abuse, or they're violent, and they have issues going on, that's their fault if they didn't seek the help they needed to get out of that, state or condition. Okay, so we've had a lot of protests against Donald Trump, his presidency and administration. We've had a lot of issues with income inequality, the 99%, and then the 1%. We've had a lot of issues with homelessness. We've had a lot of issues with immigration. We had a lot of issues with violence, with gun trade. There's so many issues. Welfare, the welfare state. There's so many issues going on. And it's good that we have some stimulating conversation and debates. But if you have people that are posting videos about how they hate one another, you can't move past any of that if you got people who don't even trust one another. So here you see this is Trump Towers. You see the protests, and people were protesting. You see a lot of discord. You have people out there who are not even black that are not that happy about some of the things that are going on. We have issues with health care surrounding that, issues with veterans not having homes to live in and adequate shelter, and we have homeless people out there, and here we have people that want to give money to places, and here we got problems right here in America that are happening with American citizens. And it's crazy because there's so many people that want to do all these things for people who are not even Americans. And Americans not even getting along with one another, but we have all these fabulous ideas at how to get out of poverty, but I've yet to see it happen. And the people that are saying this, they want you to buy their book. They want you to pay for them to speak and do an hour or 2 hour or an hour and a half lecture. And they want to give you all these feel-good fluff messages and lectures to boost and soothe your ego, stroke your egos. And they have all this black empowerment. And some of the information might be good and you can utilize it. But I feel like we got to get out of this thing of looking for leaders, and you have to lead yourself. We have to be leaders within ourselves. And we have to get out of this thing of, finger pointing and blaming everyone, blaming all these other social issues, because that's not going to build a black community. If you're blaming, black women destroyed the black community, black males destroyed the black community, the gays destroyed the black community, the humpbacks destroyed the black community, or the whites destroyed the black community, which there may be some things that have happened that have led black people to be generational recipients of poverty. But the point is that what is it that you're going to do about it within your own life? And I feel this is where we're really at in this time era, because everything is so high tech and is so about me attitudes and self-loathing people, and nobody trusts one another, and you don't know who to trust, because some of it has to do with fear of violence and backlash. Sometimes people can say something on the TV, and instead of it going for you, it can count so much against you. We've had issues that came up about reparations. Look at what time we're in. You know how long ago that was? So most of those people are dead and gone. You know how this goes. A lot of times they want you to prove that you had somebody from way back in your history. Now, there are some people that can prove it. They have documentation and paperwork to prove that they have somebody that had experienced all of the perils of slave trade. But most of us don't have that kind of stuff. We don't have those. We don't possess those. We don't have those documents in our possessions. Not all of us as black people have those type of documents. And in order to receive any monies, they want you to show and prove. And then, to be in all fairness and all honesty, do we really have the documents to prove that? And do you think that they're really going to give you money? I don't think so. They don't want to give you money now. So we have issues with the prison labor and then retirement. Most of us, even if we retire, we're not going to have a safety net. So you have to keep working and then hope that helps. And then you have to put money away. So these are good issues to bring up, but we need to be realistic about this. Not all people who are on here are in our favor.